Hello everyone. Magnus Carlsen has been on fire lately. He's taking down elite players on chess.com in these 3-minute blitz games that he's been playing lately, in sometimes under 30 moves, under 20 moves, and in a few cases even under 10 moves. I'm going to show you 3 of these games today. The first 2 were played against a 13-year-old prodigy from Turkey by the name of Yagiz Erdogmas. He is a very promising up-and-coming player who just became a grandmaster in 2024, the 4th youngest grandmaster in history. On chess.com, he has a blitz rating of over 3,000. And in this first game we're looking at, he is playing with the white pieces. And we have a Sicilian defense and then this A3 move. And he should know this kind of thing only works for Carlsen, right? He's the only one that can defeat players with these weird openings. And Carlsen just, he takes advantage of the fact that this move doesn't really do a lot, and white pretty much gives up his entire opening advantage with it. He develops his pieces, knight to f6, attacking e4 here, so knight to c3, e5, and black is probably the side that is already a little better right here. We have bishop to c4 from white, which allows Carlsen a trick that most of you have seen before and probably have had happen to you. Knight takes e4, sacking a piece for a pawn in the center of the board, which will be regained after the move d5 with a fork. So what's the best move here? Well, bishop to b5 is the best response because after the knight is captured, now you can take out the pawn on e5 since this knight is pinned. But Carlsen's not worried about any of this. He plays queen to f6. We see knight takes c6, b takes c6, and the bishop goes to e2. And Carlsen's pawn structure is really bad here. I mean, this is an endgame losing structure, but it's not even close to the endgame. It's still the opening, and Carlsen is the one who is better now because he has some attacking moves like the one he played here, the best move, queen to g6. Very inconvenient for white to deal with. What are you going to do here? Well, you'd like to castle, but then there would be bishop to h3. That's losing, You could do something about the mate threat here, and then you're going to lose the exchange. Or you could do what was played in the game, king to f1. Kind of a sad move. You're not going to castle. We have bishop to d6 by Carlsen. Okay, d3. It's a good move. Bishop to f5. And now pawn takes, bishop takes. And look at these 2 bishops bearing down on the king side. This is very uncomfortable. And white can actually still survive, but the move that needs to be played, the only move that doesn't lose here, well, maybe you want to try to find it. Take a minute. What would you play as white? As white, you really need to play bishop to f3. It's absolutely necessary. The c pawn was attacked here, but after bishop takes c2, you got bishop takes c6 check, and then black isn't able to castle either. Plays king to f8, and then you move your queen out of danger. This rook's still hit, so we'll see rook c8. The bishop can go to d5, and this is a more or less equal position. But instead of this necessary move, bishop to f3, white played f3 and is already completely busted on move 14. Bishop takes c2 comes. We have queen to e1, and then Carlsen just castles. So we have g3 going for a castling by hand, maybe planning king to g2. But here comes rook f e8 from Magnus Carlsen. Bishop's pinned, so white understandably wants to get out of the pin with queen to f2. But now Carlsen finds a beautiful way to end the game, which I'll bet you can spot if you take a moment. What do you think Carlsen played in this position? The knockout blow which Carlsen executed here was rook takes e2, which prompted resignation. If the king were to take, this runs into a mate in 2 with queen d3 check, king e1, and queen d1 checkmate. If you were to take with the queen instead, with queen takes e2, then sadly bishop to d3 will win the pinned queen. So what a disaster to get taken down by Carlsen so early in the game. But this wasn't his worst game. The next game we're going to look at, he only survived 8 moves. So let's take a look at that. Okay, here we go with opening disaster number 2. Again, Magnus Carlsen is playing black. We have an English opening here and some pretty normal looking play. Knight to f3, knight to c6. Okay, here we are, move 5. Everything's going okay. Now, how are you going to lose this in 3 moves? I mean, it's unbelievable. We got this move b6 and d4. Okay, c takes d4. And what do you need to play here as white? Well, the engine says knight to a3, rook to e1. What would you guys play? Would you take out this pawn here with the knight? Doesn't that just lose a piece? Yes, friends, it does. But he took out the pawn. And Carlsen said, okay, I will take the knight. And this is what he saw, though. This is how he thought he was getting the piece back, right? he took on c6, thinking, oh, well, that removes the defense of this bishop on d4, but it doesn't, because after this, the queen's defending. I don't know how he missed something that simple, but he's now just down a piece, and so resigns. A player rated over 3,000, getting taken down in 8 moves. I think Carlsen does something to these guys. It could be comparable to what people used to feel playing against Fischer. Fischer fever, they called it. They probably just have this impending sense of doom that causes their mind to malfunction. And, you know, he probably wasn't having his best day. But this is not the only player who on the same day got taken down in under 10 moves. The next of Carlsen's victims is also a grandmaster, and his name is Aram Hakobian from Armenia. Very strong player, rated 3058. And again, Magnus Carlsen has the black pieces, and we have knight to h3. Another player trying to do strange moves in the opening, hoping it will throw Carlsen off his game. But no, he just plays sensibly. d5, okay, g3, e5. Carlsen gets the big center. Aram strikes at it with d4, okay, pawn takes, queen takes, c5. The engine says it's about equal. Aram gets a check with the queen. It's blocked with bishop to e7. And now comes the losing blunder on move 6. Queen takes g7. Now, a lot of amateurs will play this kind of move in this kind of position and think they're going to win the rook, right? But a seasoned player will recognize the only defense that works here, bishop to f6. I love making this move, especially against beginners because everything's defended and they realize that they don't have anything. But normally, their queen is okay because they can move it somewhere, right? In this case, the safe square would be g3, but unfortunately, the move g3 has been played, which means that Aram's queen is trapped. There is nowhere to go. And the best move here would be to just take out the rook, sack the queen, and it is a blitz game, so you might want to play on and just, you know, I mean, you're probably just finished against Carlsen, but what you don't want to play is what Aram played in the game, which is queen to h6. And he must have just missed knight takes h6. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, he would have taken out the rook. But Carlsen just takes out the queen, and then on move 7, Aram Hakobian resigns. That's it. 7 moves. And if this was a bullet game, it'd be a little more understandable, but a 3-minute blitz game? This just doesn't happen. So I don't know what's going on, but Carlsen's just been getting some easy points. I don't know what his rating is up to, but it wouldn't surprise me if he breaks his record sometime soon. So thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed these extremely brief and brutal encounters between top players on chess.com and the great Carlsen. I will see you on the next video.